Did you see Saw?
Of course I see Saw. Moz and I see Saw all the time.
No, the movie. Did you see the movie Saw?
Oh, yeah. Great film. Almost as fun as going on a seesaw.
All right, it's time to round out the franchise, at least for the moment, because they're gonna do more of these.
I have no faith in humanity, so yes, I know they will continue the Saw franchise because Jigsaw, it's just a classic villain, and I guess prequels we're gonna have to keep going till Tobin Bell kicks it. I think.
Yeah, and then AI will take over for it. If Disney buys the rights for it, then they'll just deep fake it. They'll get the whole Mark Hamill treatment. But then all the Saws going forward will be PG-13 and they'll all suck. So
well, I guess then we're in the golden age of Saw right now if it's about to head into the AI in a few years.
I mean, as long as Tobin Bell is around, I'll watch any Saw that he's heavily involved in because it was so nice to have him back in and be a main figure of the character, of the movie.
I was going to say, he's literally the main character.
He's character.
He's the character. And it was I just love this movie so much. I was so pleasantly surprised that it lived up to the hype. I feel I agree with people that it's as good as the first two. And I think it's up there with those. It's definitely on the higher end of the list, I would say. But to me, at least, it lived up to expectations. What about you?
My expectations were very low because, we've gone through all these movies and the low point was Saw 5, well, then Jigsaw. But Jigsaw, I'm pretty sure they're never going to reconsider that. They brought back Hoffman, spoiler alert.
But I will say this is the only time I did not hate Hoffman. I actually kind of liked him here.
Because he's in the movie for 30 seconds? Is that what
that, but also the couple lines and his use in the movie, I was I like this.
I love the underutilization.
I think this is a swap of the last 4 or 5 Saw movies is a little bit of John Kramer and all of fucking Hoffman. So the fact that we got all of Kramer and a little Hoffman, that's the right ratio. A lot of Amanda too, which is
good. And I was very happy to have Amanda back. And to kind of what you were saying, it's nice to have Hoffman in a lot of this. I felt like this was
a little bit.
Sorry, I'm Kramer. Kramer, Tobin Bell.
Yes. Jigsaw.
It reminded me a lot of Saw 2, where Saw 1, he's just a body on the floor. And then Saw 2, he's this whole person that has the incredible relationship dynamic with Donnie Wahlberg. And so this one is Jigsaw's not just the puppet. You have the person. And
he's actually explaining some of the traps to the victims, which I love. And I feel like these people are as much as they're very unlucky to die in these horrible ways. They're kind of lucky though. They're getting the front row seat to the full John Kramer experience. They might feel kind of lucky.
We're gonna go through the traps as we normally do. But
if we didn't, I'd be worried.
This is the first movie in the franchise where they're not hiding who Jigsaw is. He's just hi, I'm Jigsaw from the very beginning. Live or die, make your choice. Well, and I'll help you clean up if you live.
Kind of, but it is weird because it's the first half of the movie is we get that one fake out trap that is maybe I think after the one of his supposed ex-wife dying in her dream, it's the second only fake out trap. But I still was fine with it.
Okay, we can start with this trap because it's the first trap. And you made the right parallel from Saw 3D when they have that weird dream sequence of
what's her name again?
I don't know.
I don't
Jigsaw's
care.
wife. She got bear trapped in a not so satisfying way. But that's a terrible dream sequence because it's just this isn't a trap. You just executed someone, and then it's oh, this isn't real. The eyeball trap or finger snap trap, it was the poster of the entire marketing. I was surprised that it was a dream sequence right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's a dream sequence. It's like a daydream. It's like a fantasy. It's like
we're getting into the mind of John Kramer in this movie and seeing how he comes up with these ideas. We're getting a little thing of how his brain works. He figured it all out. And because if you notice, a lot of the stuff that he's using in the trap is all in the room there with the guy.
yeah.
Like all of those devices. So it's like he's just really he's got a very visual interpretation of what he I mean, he's a great engineer, obviously, that he just knows how to rig all this up in his mind.
Yeah, I was thinking in it, I was like, and then when it ends, I'm like, wait, so this was a dream? Like, God, he's fucked up. He thought of that whole thing just in the moment. Like,
yeah,
this is what I'm gonna do.
Like, a little too creative, I might think. But I bet that guy is really glad that he fucking put that money back and didn't have to do this. I did want to say this would be a shit fucking trap to be in, except for this guy's a moron, and it would be so easy to get out of it.
Oh yeah, just crank it up to 11.
Why didn't he do that? He was like, let me go one painstaking figure at a time. I was like, you deserve to have your eyeballs and your dick sucked off. Not sucked off, but sucked out. Excuse me. Your eyeballs sucked out and your dick sucked off. Now that's a way to go out of the world.
That's the other guy's dream where he gets his dick sucked off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm combining the two. Sorry.
Well, I 100% agree with you. The first thing I thought, and we've talked about this with several of the other traps, it's like you're just delaying this. I felt like this actually made sense that it was delayed because it wasn't actually happening. It was John Kramer getting his rocks off, we'll say.
Yeah. And I think he also has learned enough at this point. I mean, he's still technically early in being Jigsaw or whatever, right? They said this is between 1 and 2, but he clearly knows that people are going to panic and freak out and take their time and not actually pay attention to the ticking clock. So I think he's just bringing that in because he always tells these people that they could live, but it's like, you have such a low success rate. I wouldn't consider this helping people, which is crazy that that's what he says. He's like a life coach later on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is when they decided
helping people.
This is I'm okay with it because I think in order for Saw to continue, they probably need to take it in another direction. I'm wondering, honestly, when they're just going to turn John Kramer into a supernatural thing, because I feel like that'll happen eventually if they're going to keep the franchise alive.
Well, I want to come back to the timeline a little bit later on because I have some questions. But okay. I think you're right in that this franchise has essentially proven, at least from a box office perspective, it cannot live without Tobin Bell.
Yeah, and why not make him the hero when they've kind of already done that? And it's not even necessarily that the movies have. I mean, they kind of leaned into it, but I do feel like the audience, at least, roots for Jigsaw every time. And I think, they're obviously the later movies and this movie, they really are milking it because they're like, I'm going to give you the worst people that you could never care about. And we're going to put them in traps and watch them die horribly. Of course, I'm rooting for Jigsaw. He's the only one I know. And these people tricked a cancer patient. That's pretty fucked. You know what I mean? They're basically framing him as the Batman of this whole, he's going to be the hero of every Saw movie. He's like the Punisher or whatever. It's just very strange.
Yeah. I was very, very excited as the movie got into the main, portion of it. I was like, oh my God, this movie is now a part of one of my favorite genres. It's not a horror genre, it's an action genre, but it's the coming out of retirement for some revenge genre.
Yeah, exactly.
This is John Wick, this is Extract, this is Nobody, this is all these movies of these old guys that
Taken.
come out of the original coming out of retirement.
Yeah. Liam Neeson started a terrible trend.
I love them. So please don't besmirch.
They will go until one of these old men dies trying to fucking stay in shape for this movie. Okay, that's all I'm saying. They're doing Indiana Jones. He's like 80. Give these guys a fucking break. They should be playing grandpa who can't get out of his chair,
Hey,
Anyways.
The difference with Indiana Jones is that they have terrible CGI deepfakes to supplement that. Keanu Reeves is doing his own stunts for however long he still can.
For a very short time, I'm sure that will not last.
It won't. But this was
Tobin Bell can't do that, thank God.
But I'm like, oh, this actually can work because Tobin Bell's not doing stunts. Like,
yeah, exactly. That's the only reason why it works. It actually feels like this trope was meant for Saw in a weird way, because he's like all about the like traps and not about actually like going one-on-one with anybody. Anybody could clock this motherfucker and take him out at any time. That's why he's so smart.
and I wanted to ask you as the horror expert, I feel like this is the first time in a horror movie that I've like rooted for the villain since like Freddy Krueger. I'm like, yeah, kill those stupid teenagers. Like this one, like, yeah, kill these con artists.
I feel more like that when I watch the Friday the 13th movies, because I don't think like maybe the first or second, like in general, there's just like no redeeming characters. And those ones you only root for Jason. In Nightmare on Elm Street, the kids actually put up a fight. So I will fight you on that point. But I get what you're saying and I agree with you. These people deserve to die terribly, all of them. And that's why I was like, I really enjoyed that the traps were finally good again. Because it felt like too long since the traps haven't been like really perfect for what that person's crime was. You know, we talked about how it would really customize it and it was like a personal thing. So I love that it's going back to that. And also that all these people, I mean, each trap is worse than the next almost. And these
Yeah.
people are just like, I don't care about them at all, but it's still pretty gruesome to watch. You know?
So let's get into the traps. And so one of the things that I liked and I was surprised by, because the director for this is Kevin. Oh, I'm gonna ruin this. Kevin Grutiert. That's definitely wrong.
Grutier, maybe?
Thank you for saving me. Or waiting for me to fail. Anyway, he directed this one, Saw 6 and Saw 3D. So
not the best track record.
But I will say they're all better than Saw 5.
Oh, 100%.
Saw 5 is the
dumpster fire.
Saw 5 and the first Saw are the only Saw movies that have a new director. And I'm not including Jigsaw. I don't even remember if Jigsaw was directed.
It was somebody else.
Oh, wait. Jigsaw was... No, it was somebody else. It was a different pairing. So... But yeah, like... The one thing I can say that translated from this one to the other ones, this is the best of that guy's 3. I liked Saw 6, you liked Saw 7 more. The thing that translated across all of them is that there is a really good continuity in terms of the traps and the main story trap and like them having a through line. It's not like a random bullshit thing. Like Saw 6 was all the insurance company and the employees. Saw 7 was all the people around the fake Saw guy, the fake Saw victim. So like there's a continuity, which he did really good. And this one also was really good. It was all the people that fucked over Jigsaw. And
I really like that it was this like, I don't know. I mean, I knew that the movie was about these people who like rip off Jigsaw, which like you're just the worst, the unluckiest people in the world. I mean, granted they had it coming, but like it's just hilarious that they happened to do it to Jigsaw. But I do feel like I was like actively just like hoping that the treatment was working and like he was going to be okay for a minute. And I was like, why am I doing this? How am I rooting for fucking Jigsaw here? But like him and Amanda,
I've seen him die.
I know what happens. However, I'm hopeful and they got me that at least. I knew it was all fake, but like still it was pretty convincing at first. And then, you know, he really goes into town on all of them. I would say each of them really get what's coming to them, and maybe not the end, but like we'll see when we get to the final trap.
Well, and the one thing that I did like in Saw 6 and Saw 7 is I did like the main guy. Like I liked the head of the insurance company and I liked the fake Saw victim. I liked those characters. And so him making Jigsaw the main character made sense to me, and that like why that worked. Like I was rooting for Tobin Bell the entire movie.
Of course, because he's so in the right. And it's like, yeah, he's definitely a hypocrite. Because when he says he's a life coach, I'm like, okay, buddy, that is really not at all what you're doing. You are torturing people, and 90% of them are dead. Like, if you said you were a life coach and 90% of the people that you helped are dead, I wouldn't think you're a very good life coach. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So he kind of is like a total hypocrite, but like you're still rooting for him because you don't care. You're like, yeah, he's still right. At least him and Amanda seem like the purest form of whatever they're trying to be. Hoffman obviously just killed whatever and did everything bad, but it feels like at least they're trying to lean back into that where they're like the ideal serial killers, where they're like, we're not killing people. We're giving them the tools to kill themselves. Like, I mean, you know, it's a bit better because I feel like for the last few Saw movies, it's just been like, okay, well, these people are fucked. Like, whoever's
the
doing
last
this.
couple Saw movies, there's definitely been a vibe of like, okay, some of you just have to die for some reason.
Exactly. So I will say that the traps going back, I think just after Jigsaw, like, and Saw 3D, like having so much of like the fake, like visual effects and stuff. Going back, this one with like the practical effects was really great. It was all really well done in this movie. And of course, now we're so much more like advanced with that shit. They totally could have done it, but I'm so glad that they did not, because God, that would have sucked.
Yes. And I mean, realistically, you shouldn't be listening to this if you haven't seen it, but here's the spoiler alert just in case. I think we've already spoiled some things, but like whatever. Let's get into the traps. The pipe bomb. So, one of the things I did enjoy in this is in all the other movies, we essentially see Jigsaw with the Batman logic of like time to prep. How much time does he have to make these things happen? In this movie, it's like he has no time. He's just like been screwed over, and he's like, next day I'm going to kill all these people. So the traps are less intricate and they're more makeshifty, and I really like that.
I mean, they seem pretty fucking well done from my point of view, because they're, I mean, for working with nothing, he's made quite efficient traps and like severely deadly. But I do love that he used all the stuff that was just available to him. You know, it was very much of like one of those cooking shows where they're like, here's all the ingredients you can use and you have to make something. Like Jigsaw clearly worked. I mean, who knows how long it took him to put it together, but well done.
This is like the Jigsaw version of Chopped. Like, here's your ingredients. Like
Jigsaw.
The first trap. Yeah, the first trap, the first real trap, not the dream sequence trap. We got the pipe bomb trap, where the guy he like, I don't know, sews the pipe bombs onto the forearms, and then he duct tapes his hands. And I just liked seeing duct tape in a trap. Like, oh, this is like in my garage. Like, I'm just gonna fuck you up.
You're gonna make it? Okay, I was like, oh, I could make this myself. But that's the thing. This one, and he's like, the like scalpels or whatever are not like strong enough to cut through the actual like bomb or like the wire. It's like only the flesh. I just feel like this guy really just goes for it, and good for him, because most of the people in this movie do not make it out of their traps because they're all bad. But like, I feel like this one would, like, I thought he was definitely not going to make it. I was shocked that he did. This seemed pretty fucked up.
If anything, it seemed like he got through it kind of easy. Like he was like
easy.
Like he was, maybe it's an actor thing, but like he was like screaming while he did it. But it's like, I don't know. I didn't feel like that was that much of a challenge for you.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit too easy. I was like, I feel like this guy should really be like passed out already. I would have passed out instantly, probably. I would have gone into shock. And like, I mean, just all of these things I think I would not do. Again, I think this movie might break my record for like the most traps I would nope out of and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. I don't care. You can kill me the other way. I will sit here and wait for the timer to go out. But if you want to do it now, let's just get it over with. I will not play your silly games because I don't want to almost chop my fucking head off or whatever and then die. Like, again, it's like this guy, at least like he went through all that and he lives at the last. I mean, he barely gets out of it, but maybe Jigsaw should give them a minute extra. He might have some more people living through these things. I don't know.
That was one thing I was thinking of during this movie is There's several people that die just by a couple seconds, and I'm like, did Hoffman plan these traps? Because Hoffman's traps are all like a minute too short. Like,
yeah, right. Okay, I feel like at least like I mean we'll get to the brain surgery, but like 3 minutes for brain surgery, that feels like extremely fast.
And I don't even think the scene was actually 3 minutes.
No, of course not. It's always, I mean, they couldn't show that for fucking 3 minutes straight. I don't want to see that. Although I guess that's what Saw 3 was for most of it. So who knows?
Oh, Saw 3 brain surgery. I feel like that we'll get to that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, so yeah,
Second trap.
Well, I wanted to say the pipe bomb trap, I was surprised, and maybe this is just the conditioning of all the other movies. I was fully expecting Diego to come back at the end as like a secret apprentice or something, or like he had turned or something.
I'm so glad they didn't do that. That guy would barely be useful as an apprentice, though. His arms have got to be just fucked up beyond belief. You think that guy could do anything or help make a trap? Yeah, right. That guy's probably going to be using claws for the rest of his life, or like fake arms. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think. I think those are pretty fucked. Nerve damage and all that doesn't look good. But I think the next trap is worse.
Yeah. Okay. So we get to the to the piano wire trap
and the bone marrow. I think this is my worst trap of the movie, as in like the worst one that I would not do.
This one was awful, not in the trap sucked kind of way. This was gruesome to watch. This was my all-time favorite trap, and that like I hate the trap is the rack from Saw 3.
Yeah.
This I think is the worst visually since then.
I agree, because the piano wire, I mean, first off, I mean, I've seen it in Hereditary. There's that whole sequence, but that's in the dark, I will say. Yeah. This is well lit for a Saw movie. And so she's going through her fucking leg, and she's freaking out, but like she still is doing that way better than I would. I don't think I could do it. No.
Her performance, she sells the shit out of it.
That's what I'm saying.
What's so bad about it. It's not the gore. It's her doing
because
it.
It's literally just her like doing that. Yeah, she's just going back and forth with a wire that you can't see because it's going through her leg. But like, it's her performance and like how they're like. I mean, they're all just going like, keep going, keep going. It's like, well, you fucking do this. You're right. Yeah. Like, I bet you would not be able to do this. And then the fact that she does it, and then she's not even done. She has to hook that thing up and fucking get bone marrow. No way. Of course, she doesn't have enough time. She should have been given at least another minute. I feel like this was a two-part like fucking thing.
Yeah, she's the one where I'm like, come on, Jigsaw, mercy rule this. Like she's a couple seconds away. Like,
yeah, she was literally so fucking close, and like I just kind of was mad because I felt like, damn, bitch, see, you should have just sat there and just waited for it. It would have been a lot more peaceful probably than the last moments of your life being in excruciating pain. Like that was just like fucked. And then I love the body, how it falls once her head gets chopped off, and it's just like just slumps down. It's all practical. It's just like, that was perfect. That made it extra sickening. The way that it just fell down in pieces. Ugh.
I mean, like, after watching it and then watching it a second time, I still hold like that is my favorite performance of the entire movie. Is like, Paulette Hernandez, you were incredible.
Maybe she actually has done that. Maybe that was real. We watched it. She really did it.
Yeah, it's like you were incredible as sawing your own leg off, and all timer. Like I loved it. You're the only victim I ever rooted for. Like
I agree. She was the only one that I was like, damn, okay, this bitch might deserve to live. The rest of them, I was just like, fuck off.
It's like you're not even the head of this thing, and you have the worst thing. Like,
yeah, I know. I do feel like the traps here were not given to the like worst people. Like, I just feel like the worst ones were given to people that probably didn't deserve the worst trap. And I don't know how they were picking them, but like they were fucked.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did think she deserved to live, but also like at that point I would just say, when I heard the intricacies of that trap, I know myself. I know my limits. I know I will not do this. So I'm going to sit here and just wait, and I'll be peaceful. Say my goodbyes. I'll tell everyone what I think. Fuck off, all of you. You're the reason I'm here. I'd make a guilt trip forever until I just die.
Well, And also, it's one of those traps where the act of living is so much worse than how you actually die. Like
Right.
she's got her head chopped off. That was probably 3 seconds. Her sawing her leg off was a solid 15 seconds. And then the bone marrow thing. And
It was
then
about
just
2
waiting
minutes
to
if
see
we
if
look
it
at the
worked.
clock. Yeah. If we go off the clock, it took her 2 minutes to saw through her leg. That's not enough time for the like. I mean, he's not even factoring in the fact that she might pass out and he might have to pause things to go wake her back up.
Yeah.
I mean, most people would die or pass out after that blood loss. There's no way you could operate and get your bone marrow after any of this. All of this is so unrealistic that I do feel like Jigsaw, come on. I mean, he's basically kind of doing a little bit of Hoffman, I feel like, with some of these traps where it feels like
Yeah.
these people are
That-
really not going to be able to get out of them.
I mean, and that's the only
They deserve
excuse.
it.
Yeah, that's the only excuse is these are the only people that I mean, other than some of the original Saw victims that like full on wronged Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
Like this is him getting revenge, not trying to help people. In his logic, it's helping.
It's a
but, like,
reawakening, is what he says. It's not
Yeah.
about retribution. Oh, really? After all that body pieces are on the ground, that's not retribution enough? And as if this poor girl hasn't suffered. I know it's not a trap, but we just have to call out the fact that like her phone rings and then they all like that bitch cuts out her intestines and they use it as a rope. I just thought like, damn, I never thought I'd see that in a movie.
I put that in my notes. I'm like, I can't even be mad about the intestines. That's innovation. That's
innovation.
Like
That was, and I was like, that's got to be the worst rope, though. Like, I can't fucking grab this thing. It's just slipping. And also,
there's shit coming out of it.
I think I would just throw up if somebody threw me a thing of intestines and said, lasso that, would you? No, I don't think I would. I'd be like the other girl. What the fuck? You came up with that a little too quick.
And they make like the sweetest one, the only like sweet character that's like a drug addict. They make her you throw the rope. Like, have you watched Yellowstone? Like, do it like that, but with intestines. Like,
it was just like, wow, okay. And that chick's not even innocent. She might be a drug addict, but she deserves it too. Amanda is just being too soft. But either way, next trap also gruesome.
I will say I did like I felt like we got a much more rounded character of Amanda in this. Like, she had empathy for the drug addict because she's a drug addict compared to like we saw her in 1, we barely saw her in 2, like as revealed. Saw 3, she's like full blown crazy, like veteran. And this is like she's still new to it, but still kind of crazy. I feel like this kind of bridged the gap of like, Jesus, what happened between Saw 2 and 3 with Amanda? Like
1 and 2, you mean?
Well, I'm saying Saw 3.
Yeah.
We saw Saw 2. We saw just a glimpse of her in her final form. Saw 3, she was expired, as we'll say. She was nuts.
She has the worst haircut, though. I hope if they do another one, just give her a normal haircut because the Peter Pan look is not cutting it. It's worse than Will Byers' haircut on the latest season of Stranger Things, which is consistently getting worse. And my bar that I measure all terrible haircuts by, and I will say this is worse on her. It is so bad.
I thought it was better than Saw 2, where she had the weird like frayed back in the Super Saiyan
I
form.
would love that. I would love that. That is so much cooler in punk rock than whatever page boy haircut she's rocking.
She's clearly still in treatment. But anyway, I also did like that this was the first Saw movie where we went back to everyone in a single room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
one location, not like traveling through a house.
Yeah, Saw 1 was all in one room, and then a lot of them were like in an extended kind of house tunnel situation, and then you have Saw 4 where it's like he's Ubering between traps. It's
very weird.
But I did really like that they brought that back.
Same. Next trap, brain surgery.
Brain surgery. Before we get to the brain surgery, I had a question for you because before the brain surgery, they have the Jigsaw doll come out. So he clearly texted Amanda from Mexico and he's like, hey, I need you to come down here. Did Amanda just like put that in a carry-on? Like, did she bring the doll in a carry-on or a checked bag? And if so,
probably checked.
I want a deleted scene of security seeing the doll crammed into a suitcase.
I'm assuming that she must have checked that shit because, like, at this time, if it's between 1 and 2, then people like the Jigsaw killer was a thing. So, like,
Yeah,
the
from
doll was
Saw
used.
one. Yeah, from Saw one, we know that
So
that's not his first one, and then
yeah,
Jigsaw ruins it. But like he was doing it
yeah.
before. Yeah,
So basically, that doll has been. I mean, it's like that's his calling card. It would be so obvious. Maybe they have their own private jet. I don't fucking know. Let's talk about the brain surgery. This is like getting too like complex for a Saw movie that we're talking about.
it's the best Saw movie we've seen in a while. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
brain surgery.
Bullshit.
There was
This trap
no
is
way to
bullshit.
win this. There was no way to survive this.
You can't perform brain surgery on yourself. I don't know why I have to be the one to say it because I'm surprised that nobody said anything because I feel like I didn't hear that enough. Like that should be that was my biggest issue with this movie. It's like, I mean, I know that this guy sucks, but it still sounds like that other bitch, Cecilia, was the real bitch. So,
Yeah.
like, why is he cutting his own brain out? And the fact that he does it and then he dies horribly after that, it's
Horribly.
just fucked. Yeah, the burnt in the mask, like it's just. I mean, it's just give the poor guy a break.
He was just a fake surgical assistant. He wasn't even like the real thing. Diego was the actual fake surgeon, and he lived and didn't even come back. Like
exactly. There's a lot of inconsistency with the level of the trap punishment going to the wrong people. I just don't understand it. And you would think that Jigsaw was like making us think that like, oh man, like the whole movie, I was just expecting like whatever trap he's saving for this bitch is gonna suck. But it's like, this is as good as it gets, and this is not like as bad as whatever she goes through. Like she goes through some bullshit, and we'll talk about it. But this one's almost the worst, but it's so unbelievable that I go with the leg sawing off as my worst, grossest trap. Like best though, but like most disturbing. And this one is a real close second though, because the brain surgery, cutting your own fucking scalp, doing that. I mean, it's just fucked. The guy's like shaking. It's like, how is he supposed to do this?
And also, Diego is the one who deserved this trap because Diego is the one who showed him the statue where he got the inspiration for the mask. Also, Jigsaw really can do some work overnight because, like, that's the most intricate trap in this movie. And it's like, you did this in a night? Okay,
I think he might be already supernatural now that you mention it, because how does he have the power to do this? Amanda can't be this good. Like
it's
she's
like
doing stuff, but
if he can do this while being months away from dying of cancer, like imagine him in his prime. Like
it's too bad.
You'd be the greatest killer of all time.
But he didn't get his call to kill until afterwards, until after the cancer, and he tried to kill himself. So I guess we'll never know. Thank God. Too bad there's not a Jigsaw Jr. out there that we could have.
That life coach certification, it's pretty in depth. So, but
really, and nobody double checks your survival rate.
Well, so so this was the one that I'm like, there's no way you could survive this. And the main reason I thought that from the very beginning of this, I like before he even started going, I'm like, he's not going to live. I didn't even think he was going to get through his own head because like, I think about when I am trimming my mustache or my hair or anything, like when I'm in the mirror and I'm trying to do things the correct way, but it's reversed with the mirror, I'm terrible at it. Like it's like I've never used my arms before. And so I'm like imagining drilling into my own head correctly on the first try. I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna die from the first second. And he gets as close as the bone marrow girl. Like
I know.
What?
He does spend a little while because as soon as the thing starts, he's like, fuck no. And they're like, just do it. And I'm like, I just feel like I have way more restraint that I would go. I'm not going to be bullied into doing brain surgery before I inevitably die in another horrible way. I will die in just one horrible way. Thank you. I am not going to die twice. That's basically what you're doing, is going through the whole pain of that, plus then dying terribly. It's like, it's only worth it if you have 5 minutes maybe on the clock, maybe 10. I feel like brain surgery would take a bit longer. I don't think Jigsaw has thought this through. Okay. I think maybe he might be a whiz at putting things together, but he's not so good at telling time.
Yeah, like I feel like he had as much time as in Saw 3 with that brain surgery scene. But the difference is that person was a trained surgeon who was like
brain surgeon.
A brain surgeon specialist doing it on someone else. And she had the same amount of time as the guy who's not a trained brain surgeon doing it to himself.
She had hours. What are you talking about? She didn't have minutes. She had hours. She had as long as her husband was going through all the traps. So she had 8 hours.
I'm thinking of time in the movies. It was a short scene, and maybe it was
time
longer.
Doesn't work like that, Jace. You maybe are like Jigsaw, where it's all relative, but I'm just saying, watching somebody commit brain surgery, like he must be going, shit, I should have given him another minute. That guy was pretty close. Like, he couldn't have paused the clock, pause your own contraption. You don't have a way to stop it. I feel like he has to.
Yeah. I think this movie has more people that actually accomplished the traps than any other movie previously, or should have accomplished. Because the two that we've talked about so far, they did it. They just they were done by a couple seconds. And, and they're awful.
They're just terrible. And then the one that does win, you're just like, all of these though, like, do I want to survive without my leg, without some of my, who knows? I feel like bone marrow is important. And like maybe, part of my brain's gone. I guess I'll be okay. Like that guy's probably gonna be fucked up if he lived, right?
Yeah.
And then this chick, it's like the other chick is like, she's going to be poisoned with, we'll get to the radiation, but like, I feel like that one, especially, that'll creep up on you. She'll have cancer if she lives, right?
All right. So let's get to the radiation. So, question on the radiation trap. So, did you think it was actually a radiation gun? Because I just thought it was a heat gun.
I think it was like the same thing from the hospital that they used for like chemo radiation or whatever treatment.
But so the reason why I thought it was a heat gun is because these people, they're all con artists. Everything in this, room is not real. Even the videotape is not real. They didn't cut into his head. So I was like,
so maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a heater.
Like, an actual like radiation thing that would be really expensive for a con artist. So I thought it was just a heat gun, but I've listened to several reviews and a lot of people call it like the radiation gun. Maybe it's just easier to say radiation gun.
These people are making so much fucking money off of these sick people, and like I imagine that they must have at least the amount of money to buy the right equipment so that they look legit. That's probably like why I feel like they had real equipment there, because I'm like, I feel like it'd be pretty obvious if you're like, that's a tanning bed, you know what I mean? Like I would notice.
But my counter to that is that they left it like if that was
maybe it was a
radiation thing, like
maybe he stole it from whatever like veterinary place he was working, that guy, because that's where he worked, right? How did they have all the drills and stuff for the brain surgery? Jace, we're asking too hard of questions for this one.
It's not that hard to get drills.
Right. Well, it's a brain drill, but whatever. And he had the bone marrow machine. These are just all very specific medical tools, so I'm assuming they're legit. Let's go to the radiation, though, because I did feel like this is another one that it would suck to just sit there and get burnt. But like, also, I don't want to live through this.
Yeah, this was the trap that I'm like, I felt bad for the victim, but I more so hated the main bitch because she's like, oh, smash your hand or smash your smash your foot
first,
because then like it'll be easier, and then she swings and then the gun pivots and it's like, oh fuck you, bitch.
I know. I was like, maybe if she had been on the ground she could have avoided it for the second one, like if she had done the arm first she might have been all the way on the ground after that. Who knows?
That is the thing I wonder is like if she smashed her hand first, does the gun even move? Because she's then
Right.
also taking fall damage.
Yeah. She might just win. So it was like this bitch. I mean, this bitch was evil anyway. So maybe it's part of her character that she was actually trying to get them to kill themselves so they die of shock before they could finish or whatever. I don't know. But either way, she sucks. But yeah, that one was bad. And then they had to bring in what's his name?
Yeah,
Or
well,
what's the guy that shows up?
Is it
Parker?
Parker. Well, Parker showed up earlier than that.
Yeah, you're right. But he's like, when he showed up,
when they reveal that Parker has been a part of it the whole time.
No shit.
And then the bitch smashes Gabrielle's head. I
mean, she was basically dead anyways. Amanda freaking out. I was like, oh, because you really gave her a chance at a great life. Like, come on. That radiation poisoning probably would have killed her eventually. Just saying, you know?
But that was a good twist that, I mean, first off, like, I feel like Parker showing up earlier and like banging on the door. I feel like that's the first time that a saw trap has ever been, at least at the time,
interrupted.
Unintentionally interrupted, and then we learned it is intentional.
Yeah. Well, I knew it was going to be. I'm like, okay. The thing is, and maybe this is where we talk about the twist before we get to the final trap because they come in that order, I guess. But
yeah, they're kind of all in there, so we can talk about it all at once.
I just don't think that this movie had a good twist because I was like, well, no shit, Jigsaw's not a moron. I mean, I knew that going into this movie. You really think that he wouldn't have anticipated or learned all this info? Of course, they fucking set it all up. Like, there's no way that Jigsaw doesn't double check his boxes. Okay,
yeah,
I'm just saying he would know. He would fucking know. And if these people are in on it. And it's all a con. Of course, the patient is also in on it because that guy was acting like he had a real wound. And it's like he clearly wouldn't have. And he was talking all hoarse like he did.
Yeah.
Like he was kind of convincing.
And then they don't really do the best job of explaining how Jigsaw knew. Like they reveal that Diego told them, but like, it clearly he like tortured Diego before he put Diego in the pipe bomb. I think
it was after because Diego was like woke up with the pipe bomb, was like, I told you everything. But maybe you're right. Maybe he had tortured him first, got the info, then put him in the saw trap because he's not done with him yet. That screams I'm a murderer, John. Just saying.
Yeah.
I have tortured you, but that's not enough. It's like, okay, you sick fucking pervert. What the hell? And of course, like, they're not going to be dumb enough to leave the gun there. And Amanda's going to show him where she puts it. Yeah. And they're going to, he's like, I think the only thing Jigsaw maybe didn't account for was the little kid, Carlos or whatever.
So I wondered that after the first time watching it. And then on the rewatch, I was like, okay, so the original plan was they were going to hook him and Amanda up to the seesaw, to the blood boarding, which
gross.
Question about that.
Now that's how you get AIDS.
How do you collect that much blood overnight? Yeah. Like if the plan was for that to never be the actual thing, that's just like food coloring, right? Like they're not actually going to blood themselves.
I wonder if they got like in Carrie how they go get pig's blood. Like could be something like that.
Seems a lot like of pig's blood though. It's not a paint bucket of pig's blood.
These are serial killers, okay? They've been putting together all this other crazy shit. I would not be surprised if they were high off their asses on all these traps and they're like, let's go kill a couple pigs. Where do you think they got the fucking pig mask again? Like the first one in the first place. I know it's like, we bought it at a market.
From the Chinese market.
It looks pretty fucking realistic. Like they carved out a real fucking pig. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying, I feel like it fits with them. However, I feel like he didn't expect that. But like once that Parker guy showed up and then we got to like the end where it was like the final trap and like, I was like, oh yeah, like if like I figured it out way before Parker, but I was like if he didn't know about Parker, then who was going to be the other person on the trap with the main pitch when she was the last person left? It's not like he was going to grab one of the other ones if they survived and throw him up there. Yeah. Round two. Like I was like, of course, once that guy shows up, I'm like, okay, well, he knows he's in on it. So it wasn't a
Yeah.
good twist. I feel like it was just, I mean, unless I had forgotten everything I'd seen the rest of the movie and thought, oh yeah, Jigsaw does make mistakes. I forgot about that. He doesn't ever. He never
Yeah.
makes mistakes.
Yeah.
He's always on top of it.
It was always going to be him and Amanda just trading, money shots of blood, and until they
Disgusting.
go up to the office and then they pull the bag and then they're good. The kid was the wrinkle, but also at the same time, it's like they set up very early in the movie. They're like, hey, the one Spanish word that I'm going to learn.
Yeah. Will be and come in handy.
Yeah, it's almost like, wait, was this part of the plan or was it not?
Right?
But like,
Jigsaw, he plans for everything. I mean, things basically always go according to his plan, except for people surviving, of course.
well, and
But
then he says after the people are trapped in the office, he's like, didn't quite go according to plan, but we made it. And I was like, seemed like it went pretty according to plan. Like,
that's what I'm saying. I think it's just the little boy that he didn't anticipate being
Yeah.
there by that time. Maybe he didn't think it would take as long. Again, I think it just proves my point that he's not good at estimating time. So, but I will say the bloodboarding was like pretty like, I mean, that just was gross and like disgusting. But like, then the next one was just weird. So it's like there's a poisonous gas that fills the office and they can only have one of them survive. No shit, she's gonna kill the guy. Like so obvious, right? But then
yeah,
I'm just like, so what? She's just trapped there now forever, and he leaves. It's like they leave like they're the final girls of a horror movie. Jigsaw and Amanda, the little boy, off to live together happily ever after, not
Yeah.
off to go kill more people. Like they really do. It just was weird. But then I'm like, so this bitch is just left there to die. I mean, sure, I guess that's worse, but like, is it? I don't know.
No, she's definitely coming back. So this is a good transition
think?
for us to kind of wrap this up. So
Yeah,
first off, I loved her. I thought she was because John Kramer's not the villain in this movie. He's the hero.
obviously. Yeah, he's
I
Batman. This
I
is the
thought
Joker.
I thought she was a great villain. Because in every other movie, Jigsaw is quote unquote the villain. Someone's
Yeah.
always trying to pursue him. I thought she was really good, like how the intestines rope was really good. She kept motivating people, like do the things to
She's
get
pretty
through.
vicious, but I think she was just leading those people to their deaths. I don't think she was actually trying to help them.
And she even said, she's like, you did me a favor. Now I don't have to
Yeah.
split the money. Like
This bitch was a little bit too like cartoony evil. I was like, I don't think people are this evil. She was like, and then when she tried to make fun of Jigsaw, like, oh, do the voice. I want to play a game. Like, you can't even do it with your fucking accent. Get out of here. How dare you make fun of John Kramer? I mean, she's right when she called him a hypocrite, but that's it. I felt she was too hammy of a villain. I didn't like her. I was like, I wanted her to be punished horribly. And if she's not the opening kill of Saw 11, then I'm going to be mad.
Yeah, so I will agree with you. Her death is completely unsatisfying, especially since a lot of the other people had very satisfying traps. Like
they had
really
cruel traps, and hers was like, oh, good, now you could starve. But it's like, I mean, it just seems like very open ended. I don't like it. She could maybe find a way out. She doesn't deserve it.
She's definitely coming back.
Yeah, she'll be the opening kill for the next one.
I mean, I hope so. I hope she doesn't. Oh, Jigsaw's wife, Jill. That's her name.
That's her name. Okay.
I really hope she doesn't get the Jill treatment with the reverse bear mask, because that was just very unsatisfying. It's like Jill's not the one that we want to see. That Hoffman's the one that we want to see in the reverse bear mask. But
I want the worst trap for the worst people, and I do feel like a lot like Jigsaw just sometimes fucks it up and gets the really cruel traps to the people that don't deserve it.
Yeah, and I'm like, definitely that.
But I will say that it ends with like that the post-credit scine, and it's because I was like, oh,
can we hold on the post credits?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were going there.
No, you're good. I have thoughts on the post credits, but I wanted to say that the ending of this is not super satisfying, because it's like she survives. Also, the weird thing is, so the producers of this movie, they confirm that this takes place weeks after Saw 1, after they leave Lee Winnell in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then Saw 2 takes place a year after Saw 1. And in this, they tell him that he has months. So clearly they're kind of wrong. He survives for at least
A year.
more than a year. Because
Yeah, a
Saw
little over a year.
3, like, so the doctors are really wrong, and that's why Saw 6 happens. Also they don't cover his stuff. But
I don't care, Jace.
but
I don't care if it doesn't add up. We're at Saw 10. I'm not doing math on anything except for the hours and minutes that he gives people to complete their traps.
That's true. But I guess long story short, there is room for more prequels to Saw 3.
Of course there is. However,
And that's why I
Amanda,
think she's going to come back. They're not going to do loose ends. And Diego's going to come back because he survived.
I don't care about these people. I want Cecilia to die terribly in the opening trap and then have something new. But I will say, just as long as Amanda has a better haircut, something, anything, please God, let her look better than this. Because this is, I mean, compared to all of her other appearances, I was like, this is just insulting. Do they not like Amanda? Are they trying to punish her? I don't understand.
And I love Amanda. I'm so glad that she's in this. She's
like so nice.
She's the emotional, like, I don't know, lightning rod that we don't get from Tobin Bell. And
but he's
so,
great.
Like, he is great. Like when he was doing the blood thing, whatever, he was really good at like protecting the kid. I really did like it. I love those two together. So I'm like, just bring her back in the sequel. Like forget Hoffman. I don't care.
No, but he gets the best line of the movie in the post-credit scene, and that's the only time you see him. So I was perfectly fine with that. And then they're back in the Saw bathroom, which was also a nice touch with the guy who was the original fake patient. Which good, because I was like, how does this guy fit into all of it? Because I was like, he showed a fucking wound. Like, did they really do surgery on this guy? Then they were like, you know what? Let's screw everybody else. Like, I was like, how did that work? So I love that. And I think that Hoffman has the best line because he's like, out of all the people to screw over and you guys pick the Jigsaw killer, you got to be the most like unluckiest bastard or whatever he says. And I'm just like, for real though, these people probably were like, I mean, most of these cancer patients probably can't fight back and they're probably dying. So it's like they kind of pick the perfect group of people to fuck over, as terrible as that is. So it's like hilarious that like they just happened to do it to the Jigsaw killer. Just
they should have called this Saw X. Now you fucked up. Like
now you fucked up. I mean, these people, you could say they fucked around and found out, right? Or
definitely found out.
Yeah,
I did. I was curious to ask you: have you heard? So with this post-credit scene and like Hoffman, I've heard several like reviews that have said like, oh, this is a new dimension of Hoffman because this is like the earliest we've seen him involved. Maybe it's because we just watched these movies. That's not true.
No.
Like
it's just like maybe the first time in a long time, but like in Saw 5, I feel like they do all of this.
That's what I say. Saw 5, we see Hoffman involved in the traps that they mention in Saw 1. Like, oh, I've heard of this guy, like the barbed wire, trap jungle or whatever. It's like he was there. So it's like, this isn't a revelation, I guess, unless you've never seen the originals, in which case, why are you watching these movies? But like,
yeah, I feel like this movie wouldn't make a ton of sense. I mean, I guess it's a prequel, but like, I do like the fact that this movie was like, okay, that's why he had Hoffman around, because he was like, hey, I need you to find people that I can't find. And it was like, that makes sense because Amanda's great for like a body and another partner, but
and
like
carrying a doll on a in a luggage.
She's his assistant, but like this guy is like the security like checks through and finds the shit that nobody else can find because he's a fucking cop. So it finally made me go, oh yeah, that's why he probably was working with Hoffman and wanted to keep him around and didn't make him go through an unwinnable trap like everybody else. I mean, in the first movie, he gave those guys what, like almost like a day or like what, 8 hours or something?
Oh yeah, the first movie took place over like 9 hours, 8 hours.
So it's like they had 8 hours to cut their feet off. This guy gets 2 minutes for brain surgery. I just feel like if this is around the same time, something happened, and I'd like a prequel to this movie to figure out what made him go 2 minutes, maybe 3. That's all they're gonna get. I was like, what?
We need a bridge between Saw 1 and Saw X to be like,
Yeah.
you know what? No more than
I'm not
2
pandering
hours.
to these fuckers.
We're not doing a movie that's 3 hours. They get less time than that. If I
Yeah.
can watch Babylon and they're still working at it, it's not a good trap.
Cut them off. No, next movie. It's gonna be like 30 seconds. 30 seconds. It's like I feel like I panic so much when we would do like fantasy football drafts and like the picks were like 30 seconds. Can you imagine? I was like, even if I had a minute, I was still panicking. Like 3 minutes for brain surgery? I'm not doing it. Okay. I'm out. But I'm glad that this movie was good, at least with all these jokes that we're making. It was still very well done.
Oh yeah, this was our next thing. We're going to be doing our rankings. This is definitely in the top half of the Saw movies.
Totally,
and
100%. I put this up there with the first couple, so we'll go to the full rankings.
Don't spoil it too much. Okay?
I said that at the beginning of this, Chase. But
all right, well, we'll be back next time with our rankings, until the inevitable sequel. But yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.